Hey, everybody, as Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here. Hope you are doing well tonight. We are going to do a little talk about our winter storm heading our way. So let's first start with the latest warnings, advisories, watches, because we've got a lot going on here. So let me focus in on this first. And you can see we've got winter storm warnings up for almost our entire area. But we also have something kind of unique here. We've got ice storm warnings up for parts of South Carolina. That does include Chester, Lancaster, Chesterfield County, and then down into like the northern Midlands and parts of the upstate. So the natural question I get often is, Brad, why do we have ice storm warnings in one part and winter storm warnings in the other? Aren't we going to see ice in both locations? Well, the simple answer is yes. We're going to see basically the same kind of setup. There's just a subtle difference in these alerts. Remember, these are very bureaucratic type things. They got to meet a certain criteria. So what you're seeing in the ice storm warning area is basically what the Weather Service, National Weather Service, is saying is that is going to be primarily all ice, very little mixing, probably little to no snow. So let's say it's 80-90% in this area is going to be basically all ice. Up in here, we'll probably see 60-75% ice, but it's going to mix with enough snow and sleet that they're going to use a winter storm warning, because winter storm warning is kind of a catch-all. It means any kind of winter precipitation that meets about 2 inches, 3 inches of snow, or a half an inch of sleet with freezing rain and snow mixed in. So that's why you're seeing that. Now, up in the mountains and foothills, it's clearly all going to be snow up there. So where's our system right now? Well, let me show you real quickly. You can see it here moving through the middle of the country. Kind of an interesting system because we've got a northern piece of energy. Normally, we don't see northern stream energy this potent. This is where our Alberta clippers come from, but this is a very strong northern branch system. Now, down to the south, it doesn't look like much down near Dallas, but that's a piece of energy, and those two areas are actually going to merge, and they're going to come together over Arkansas sometime tonight, early tomorrow, and then they're going to push to the east and head into the Carolinas like so. But what's going on also tonight, and you're probably feeling it if you've been outside, we've got really strong northeasterly winds pushing in that cold, dry air at the surface. In fact, if I look at the temperatures out there right now, I can show you the temperatures are falling quickly into the 30s and 40s, but it's also extremely dry. In fact, let me pull up the dew points because the dew points will be something we'll watch carefully as well. Dew points in the 20s. And the drier the air is, the colder it can get once precipitation moves in. I got really good questions about, hey, Brad, why is the temperature going to fall during the day on Sunday? It's actually warmer in the morning than it is in the afternoon. And the reason that happens is evaporative cooling. So think about when you get out of the shower, the tub, or the pool in the summer and you're wet, you basically get cool, you get a little chilly. So water's evaporating off your arm. It makes you a little cool. So when you see that happen, that happens in the atmosphere as well. It cools down quite a bit. So when the drier the air is, the potential is there that we're going to see some more significant cooling going on. So let me show you where that rain snow line is going to set up right now, at least based on what we're seeing tonight. Is that rain snow line is probably going to be, well, I say rain snow line, is probably going to be more a rain ice line to the south and then an ice snow line to the north. So what you're going to see is mainly snow in the mountains in that area in yellow, or area in white, yellow. And then this area in pink is going to be that dreaded wintry mix where we're going to see a little bit of everything across the area. So let me show you the latest Futurecast because I think it does the best job of kind of showing you. If I can find it in my graphics here. What the heck happened to it? We lost our graphics here for a second. So I'm like toggling between two different sources here. So the timing of this is still pretty much the same. It starts late tomorrow night. So we've got a good 24 hours. What's at 9 p.m. now? 24 hours from right now. I think that's when you're going to see this setup start to unfold tomorrow night. We'll probably see some of the leading edge of precipitation movement. So here's the Futurecast. I'm going to go with the close-up view just so you get an idea. We go into the overnight hours. I'm going to stop this, again, early tomorrow morning. Let's stop it around 7 a.m. We've got northeast winds. Look at that flow. You see the flow of air coming in from the east-northeast. We go a little bit further into the future. I'll stop this about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Likely going to see a little bit of snow try to move into the mountains. I think this is going to be Virgo, which is snow falling and not reaching the ground. But as we get into the evening hours, that cold, dry air continues to funnel in. And then probably about this time tomorrow, 9, 10 o'clock, we might see the leading edge coming into Asheville, Greer, Greenville, Spartanburg area, and probably after midnight for most of us. This is 1 a.m. Sunday morning. You kind of see the setup there. We've got that first batch of moisture moving in. Now, I think this will start as snow or sleet for just about everybody. Even though temperatures are kind of marginal there, you see those temperatures in the 30s for the most part. But as the morning progresses, again, I'm talking early morning, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, the temperatures will continue to fall. But notice the pink expanding. So why is that? Well, warm air in the mid-levels are coming in, and the air is getting warmer above our heads tomorrow morning or Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon. But at the surface, the temperature is dropping. It seems kind of counterintuitive, but that's that evaporative cooling going on at the surface. And notice the winds coming right out of the southeast. I'm telling you what, as long as that low-level wind stays out of the southeast, it keeps resupplying the moisture that's being evaporated and cooling the temperature. So it's basically a feedback cycle. It makes it colder and colder over time. So while the surface temperatures get colder, that warm air aloft keeps pumping in here, and you see heavy moisture moving. Now, what's really interesting, our guidance is having a real tough time with that really warm layer aloft, that it wants to make this rain. But you could see, like in Wadesboro, Sherrill, Rockingham, Chester, temperatures below freezing. That is going to be freezing rain that is falling across the area. Notice some of the sleet mixing in all the way up into the mountains. That's something to watch because that could cut down the snowfall totals up there. Because sleet's a 1-to-1 ratio. So a half an inch of sleet is a half an inch of rain. But 1 inch of snow is only a tenth of an inch of rain because it's 90% air. So when you get sleet or freezing rain, you're using up more moisture and you're not getting as much precipitation. You can basically, snow is fluffed up because it's 90% air. So as we go through Sunday afternoon, notice the freezing rain, sleet, pretty persistent into the afternoon. And then the upper low starts to pull in and colder air starts getting drug into the area, not only at the surface, but in the mid and upper levels. So this changes everything back to snow, or at least snow showers on Sunday evening. And as we go into Sunday night, the temperature continues to plummet. The winds swing around to the southwest and the west. We'll see some pretty good northwest flow snow in the mountains, but the most of the moisture moves out. So the system is in and out fairly quickly. It's still going to be an all-day thing, but it's in and out of here fairly quickly on Sunday. So let's look at the totals. I don't mind showing you this before the late news. There's our ice totals, and this is really the area that we're most concerned about for significant icing across areas of South Carolina into North Carolina, and then into the Sandhills. That's 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of ice. And then you get north of Charlotte, you're looking at about 2/10 of an inch of ice. And as you get closer to the mountains, it's more sleet and snow up there. So you're seeing less and less ice across the area. But that's significant. 1/4 inch of ice is going to cause some significant issues, because when you get 1/4 inch of ice on trees and power lines, that adds about 500 pounds of weight to a tree branch and about 500 pounds to a stretch of cable between two poles. And then you throw in a 15 to 25 mile per hour wind, that can help bring down power lines across the area. So let's look at the snow totals. I may make an adjustment to the snow totals tonight just because of the speed of the system. But let's face it, across the Piedmont, this is not going to be a big snowstorm. For everybody that was super excited for this to be, a huge snow event, it just doesn't look like it's going to be a big snow event for the Piedmont because of that mixing. So I'm going 1 to 2 inches of snow in the greater Charlotte area, trace to 1 inch south. As you get north and west of 85, probably more closer to 42 to 4 inches. And again, a lot of sleet mixing in there, but then it's the foothills. And in this case, this is going to be one of those rare cases. I shouldn't say rare because it's really not that rare, but when we get nor'easters or East Coast storms. But what this is instead of the northwest facing slopes getting a ton of snow, like behind a cold front, in this scenario, because the wind, let me see if I can grab my cursor here, is going to be coming in from the south and east in the mountains here, we're actually going to get upslope wind, kind of like what we get in the summer when we get those heavy rainfall events. And what I mean by that is the moisture is going to be coming in this direction up into the mountains, and it's actually going to help supply moisture that hits the mountains and then is lifted. Let's see if I can actually draw on this map. There we go. So the wind is going to hit the mountains and get lifted in upper Burke, Caldwell, Wilkes County, McDowell County, and it's going to lift the air, cool it, and condense any moisture and cause much deeper snow, or heavier snow at least, on the eastern facing slopes. And then on the Tennessee side, for once, there might be lower amounts because it's in the snow shadow. That's kind of what we call a rain shadow or snow shadow. So that's where we're going to see some of the heavier snowfall amounts with this. It's actually going to be further to the east than we normally see with a big winter storm. So let's look at the winter impacts and timing. I like showing this graphic because it really kind of sets the stage for what we're going to see. So rain, snow, and sleet starting probably midnight to 2 a.m. And then it pushes to maybe all snow for a while, then back to sleet and to freezing rain. So you're seeing that freezing rain really in the middle of the day become the most problematic part of the day. That's going to make very hazardous travel and probably scattered power outages. So the area I'm talking about is around Charlotte, the Piedmont, South Carolina. Think of all areas south and east of I-40. Those are the areas. And with the heavier ice right near the North Carolina, South Carolina border. So that's the area where we'll see that. Now in the mountains and the adjacent foothills, we're going to see much more in the way of snow. So this starts probably close to midnight and ramps up pretty quickly. So mostly all snow, but I will tell you, there could be a little sleet mixed in there, maybe a hint of freezing rain, but most of the time it's going to be snow. And because it's so cold, you're going to have snow and ice-covered conditions. Power outage is probably isolated, but there is some pretty good wind with this event, and you get heavy snow, you sometimes get a power outage. It's really, not going to be over the top. So let's talk a little bit more about this precipitation types, because I have been looking at some of the questions about, why are we getting, snow, or why are we getting snow in one area, freezing rain in another, sleet in one area? It's because of the column of the atmosphere. This is also a reason why it's so hard to forecast weather around here, because when you have winter weather, you're not just forecasting the temperature at the ground. That's actually the easiest part of the forecast. We've got to see temperatures in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere as well. So the temperature at the ground is one thing. We know it's going to be cold enough at the ground level. But as you go up to around 5, 6, 7,000 feet, for a time being, we're going to see a thin layer that's going to make for sleet and another thicker layer that's going to make for freezing rain. So that fluctuation at times is going to cause more freezing rain, sleet. And Vernon, you have a question, with temps in the 20s, and you thought you'd see more snow. The problem is that's the temperature at the ground. The temperatures at 5, 6, 7,000 feet are going to be in the upper 30s to around 40. So where the snow is coming from, it's actually going to be melting on the way down. So that's what I'm saying here. The temperature at the ground is only part of the equation here, and why this is so hard. We need to know the temperature at the surface, at 5,000 feet, at 10,000 feet. And subtle changes in those temperatures, even a tenth of a degree, is the difference between rain and snow. I say this all the time. 32.0, that's ice. 32.1, that's liquid. That's a very small difference at different levels of the atmosphere. So that's why it's tough to forecast this. And even though I know there's going to be a mix, I have a pretty good handle on it. That layer, that warm layer, it's hard to tell how thick or how warm it's going to be. So I know it's going to be there, but the fluctuations in its intensity and depth is going to have a big impact on what we see. And one of the things you've heard me talk quite a bit about is something called a warm nose. So if you watch any of my streams, I've referred to this thing called the warm nose. And the warm nose is something we look at in upper air sounding. So an atmospheric sounding, just to give you a kind of a behind the scenes thing, is basically a temperature profile of the atmosphere. So the way we get these temperature profiles is we actually launch weather balloons. I don't physically launch them, but the National Weather Service does, the government does, and so do weather services all across the world, twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, 12Z and 0Z. Sometimes 18Z, which is the middle of the afternoon, but this happens in the morning and the evening. We also get airplane data, which shows us this temperature profile. You probably don't know, every plane that takes off and lands transmits weather data, and we get a profile of that flight path and how the temperatures, wind speeds, and all that are at different various parts of the atmosphere. So typically, the temperature decreases with height. It gets colder. Well, in a setup like it's happening Sunday, we have a part of the atmosphere where the temperature goes back above freezing and then drops back below freezing at the ground. And because that little notch there looks like a nose, and I think Chris Mulcahy actually put that eyeball in there, that little nose-looking feature is what we call warm nose. and that could be between 5 and 10,000 feet, and that allows for freezing rain to occur and sleet, depending on how thick that is. So that's the main reason we're having this setup. It really makes for a tough forecast. So that is the reason you hear that term quite a bit. So still getting a lot of questions about how much. Here's the map again. I'll leave it up there. That's the snow map. So the snow map will show you basically 1 to 2 inches for most of the Piedmont, trace to 1 inch south. The real heavy snow is going to be Interstate 40 north. That's really, where we're going to see the biggest amounts. Now, the other part of this is the ice. So ice is probably going to be the biggest impact. The ice potential is right there. So you can see the huge ice amounts there. So I had a question. Let's scroll back through here. Somebody said something about how much. So Kings Mountain, you are basically right over here. You're about 1/4 to 1/1500ths of an inch of ice. And as far as snowfall is concerned, you're about on that 1 to 2, maybe 3 inch amount. So again, all those locations are on the map. You can see Kings Mountain is right there on the Gaston-Cleveland County line. So you're kind of right on the border. So probably a good mix of both in that area. What is ice? Okay, hopefully that's a rhetorical question. If it's not rhetorical question, ice is frozen water, basically. So anytime you freeze liquid, you get ice. Snow is actually not exactly frozen water because it's a dendrite. It's a crystal that forms with a little bit of air and a condensation nuclei. So it's a little bit different. Atlanta, you're going to get a little bit of ice and snow, but mainly north side, so not a big deal. Let's see, I'm reading some other questions. York, you're right there in York County there, north of Rock Hill. That's the 1 to 2 inch range. So yeah, right there in the middle of your screen is York. It's going to be just to the south of Gastonia, northwest of Rock Hill there. So you're in the 1 to 2 inch range for snow, and solidly in that 1/4 to 1/2 inch. So ice is going to be the biggest issue in York County. Almost the whole county is seeing the same thing. So great question there. Can you specify where the Piedmont is in relation? Ballantyne is in the Piedmont. So I got this question today. The Piedmont is basically the area between the mountains and the coastal plain. So a Piedmont, for those that aren't familiar with the term, it's basically a plateau between mountains and a coastal plain. So York County is getting ice. A little bit of snow, but mostly ice. So Ballantyne is in South Charlotte. That is considered the southern Piedmont, and parts of Ballantyne is right there on the map. It is in South Charlotte near the South Carolina border. That's in the 1/4 to 1/2 inch. So flights, I have no idea. That's all up to the airlines. So I would call ahead to the airlines to see what they're doing. They most likely would move planes ahead of time or cancel flights or cancel. There's just so much going on that you probably are going to have delay of some kind. You've got all kinds of stuff going on. Do you believe this storm can overperform? Sure, but it can also underperform. I mean, that's the way anything's possible. My goal is not to tell you what could happen. It's to tell you what's most likely going to happen. Because anything could happen. I mean, a meteor could hit the Earth tomorrow, so it doesn't really, could have, should haves don't really do much. My job is to forecast what's most likely going to happen. So would this be considered? It's a Miller A low pressure. It's kind of a hybrid. It's a very unique system because of the way it's moving. Monday morning, complete ice. It's going to be horrible traffic and, hopefully no traffic, but horrible road conditions. Basically, all day Sunday and early Monday is bad travel. So it's not going to be above freezing until probably noon or after on Monday. So you're looking at a day and a half of no thawing until then. I can't really tell you what to cancel. I can just give the information. Hopefully, can make the choice for you. What is the bus potential? I don't know what the bus potential. What do you mean bust? How? Chance of a weak warm nose. The only way so if you're thinking about could it be more snow? That's what you're basically saying. The way you get more snow out of this system is, first of all, it would have to slow down. Slowing down would be much more important. Let me grab the graphic here that will kind of show you. I'm going to show you kind of the pattern here. So here's our storm. So to get more snow in Charlotte, let me see if I can move one of these. Pause it here, right here. So to get more snow in Charlotte, we would need this system to track much further to the south. And what I mean by that is the low is basically tracking inland pretty far. That pulls the warm, moist air all the way inland to the Charlotte area. For us to get more snow, we would want this to be hugging the coast more, and we would get into this snow shield that you see for like West Virginia, Kentucky, Western North Carolina will get pulled down into the Piedmont. So we actually need the storm to go further south and let the colder air be deeper over the region. So that's the way you get more snow in Charlotte. That's the more classic setup for this area. What about Asheville? Asheville is probably going to see around, I would say, 3 to 5 inches, mainly because it's in the valley. The higher mountain peaks around the French Broad River Valley will get much more. The upper low is going to phase with the system, John. So there's not a question of that. The problem is the upper low is to the northwest of the surface low. So again, the surface low has to track further to the south for us to get snow. That puts us into the upper low. That's not the way it's going to. Yeah, we'll have a refreeze every day this week, whatever thaws out there. So Kannapolis Concord seems like a lot of ice, a lot of snow and ice. Lots of snow and ice in Dallas. Pretty much the story is going to be bad travel conditions. Don't think winter wonderland, fluffy snow, make snowmen, snowballs in the Piedmont. That's only in the mountains. The stuff we're going to get in the Piedmont, even if it snows, remember, even if it snows, there's going to be sleet and freezing rain on top of that. So if you think about snow and then you throw water on it and you freeze it, you basically get a giant glacier looking thing. It's worse for the road conditions. It's no fun. It's nothing about this is going to be fun to play in or do unless you get into pure snow in the mountains. So Rutherford County, you're going to see snow, maybe 2 to 4 inches with ice on top of it. So I will post all these graphics. Highest accumulation potential for Raleigh, maybe 2 inches. That's a lot of ice in Raleigh. I don't see a lot of that's similar to Charlotte's setup there. Maybe all rain. I'd be worried about rain sneaking all the way into Raleigh, to be honest with you. The further east you go and southeast, you're getting away from it. That's going to be a big problem. Hudson's in the foothills, so you're in the 4 to 6 range. Lincolnton, you're looking at about maybe 2 to 4 inches, probably in the low side, and more ice than anything. Yes, snow in Lincolnton. Showed you the graphic earlier, Samantha. I can repost it to you. Let's see, Rockingham, probably mostly rain with a little bit of ice. Actually, if you're looking, what is that? 1 inch of freezing rain for Charlotte. That's actually false. So when you look at models, you got to look at what's called the FRAM. And most people don't. And this is the thing about models. Remember, models are tools. They're not forecasts. And if you don't know how to use the tool, you usually use it improperly. So when you look at a model that shows 1 inch of ice, well, you're not looking at the FRAM, which is the freezing rain accumulation model. You're looking at just taking all the liquid in the model and freezing it. That's not the way Mother Nature works. Some rain that falls evaporates. Some rain that falls doesn't freeze. It goes in the ground as rain. So there's a model that shows us how much actually accumulates on stuff. And usually you're looking at the QPF just to ice and not looking at the FRAM. So, and some of it would be sleet. Anything that's sleet reduces freezing rain. So these are all things you got to be real careful looking at model guidance. We call it guidance for a reason. It's not a forecast. It's supposed to guide the forecast. So I don't really have a favorite model, to be honest with you, because I look at all the data. And it's like a carpenter saying what's their favorite tool. I mean, I need them all. I can't just use you can't do a lot with just one tool. You need them all. The 7 to 10 day, it's a cold pattern beyond this storm. So I would be prepared for a very cold pattern. So hopefully we don't lose power in many locations, because if we do, we're going to be dealing with some really cold temperatures. You see the system move out fairly quickly. So the thing to watch, if you're watching tonight and tomorrow, if you're looking for things are going to change, it's going to be seeing how this system comes together. This is the surface low. Here's the upper level system, and they phase together over Memphis maybe tonight or early tomorrow. Does it form further north? Does it form further south? That could fluctuate. And then how cold and dry is the air moving into the Carolinas? So that would be the other thing that we check. Concord, you're in the 1 to 2 inches of snow and a 1/4 to 1/2 inch ice. Probably not. Could it change to regular rain by the afternoon? It's probably not going to be regular rain. The models actually aren't showing that. The models are struggling with it because you saw the green on the map, but the temperature was 29. That's freezing rain. That's not pure rain. The temperature has to be above 32 degrees at the surface for it not to be freezing rain. So if the model is showing rain, but the surface temperature is 29, it's still freezing rain by definition. Shelby will get ice, probably about a 1/4 inch. There is a winter storm warning for Anson County, actually. No, the rain will not because it'll be freezing. Yeah, the temperature's below freezing all day Sunday. Anything that falls is freezing. Okay? You can't wash things away when it's below 32 degrees. It's just the basic laws of thermodynamics. When the temperature is 32 degrees or lower, anything that falls freezes on contact or falls as ice. So there's nothing really to wash away. Denver is part of the Piedmont. That is correct. Norwood area, that's all ice and some snow. So let me go back to the graphics because I feel like a lot of people missed these graphics. Somebody earlier asked about why there wasn't a winter storm watch or warning. Every single county in our area is under a winter storm watch, warning, or ice storm warning. So there is not one county not under some type of advisory. Here again, I'll show the ice map because to me, this is the most significant part of this storm. This is the ice map. So Anson, Stanley County. So I'll just name it off. You live in Richmond County, Chesterfield, Anson, Stanley, Cabarrus, Southern Rowan, Mecklenburg, Union, Lancaster, Chester, York, and Southern Gaston County. You are in mostly ice, 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Could there be some snow? Yes, some sleet, but mainly ice. North of there, you're looking at 1/10 of an inch to maybe a 1/4 inch of ice in all the other counties north. That's where the snow becomes more of an impact. So people that could see decent snow, parts of Avery, Watauga, Ash, Wilkes, McDowell, Mitchell, Upper Burke, Upper Caldwell, those are the big snow areas. Lesser snow 4 to 6, but still significant. Lower Burke, Lower Caldwell, Alexander, Northern Iredell, Northern Catawba, South Mountains of Cleveland County. And then you get into part like Shelby North, Gastonia North to Lincolnton, Lake Norman, Statesville, Salisbury, Troutman, Mooresville, China Grove, 2 to 4. And then most of Charlotte Metro, which includes Gastonia, Belmont, Mount Holly, Charlotte, South Charlotte, Pineville, Matthews, Concord, Midland, Rock Hill, Fort Mill, TGK, all those areas, 1 to 2 inches. And then Chester, Lancaster, Union, all that's a trace to 1 inch. So those are the areas that you're going to see the really, really lighter amounts of snow and more ice than anything. How much freezing rain did Charlotte get in the big? Oh, that was December 2002. That I think was 3/4 of an inch. Now that ice storm was epic. It was like 27 degrees and pouring rain, and it was early December that year, and there were still leaves on the trees. So the trees that had more surface area can add more weight, and they were collapsing. So we lost more trees and more power during that ice storm than we did Hurricane Hugo. I often laugh when people say Hugo is the biggest weather event in our area, and I kind of agree slightly. But that December 2002 ice storm actually caused more damage in our area than Hugo. It was the biggest outage in Duke's Power's history. Yes, all of the winter storm watches will be upgraded to either a winter storm warning, winter weather advisory, or an ice storm warning. All 3 of those will be upgrades. No, not good to ride your bike. Could we see some snow after the storm? Yes, showed that earlier. There could be some snow showers behind the system, but they're probably going to be really light and very scattered. So I'll go through the Futurecast one more time. And again, if you guys have questions or you missed something, you can go back and watch this video on my page. I also post tons of content on my Facebook page, my Twitter feed, Instagram. Follow me at WXBrad. There's just a ton of information on there. So let's play this out. Tomorrow morning, we'll wake up probably around freezing. Go into the afternoon. This is 5 p.m. Notice that east-northeast wind. That's reinforcing the cold, dry air. We go a little bit later, about midnight, start to see things move in. Probably the first flakes, even sleet. And this could all start as snow. Notice the surface temperature is above freezing. Because the air aloft is going to be cold enough initially, this can be snow. The snowflakes can survive it to the ground, even at 35. But as the cold air gets pushed in at the surface, warm air comes in aloft. So what's happening here, I know it seems really counterintuitive, but down here between the ground and about 4,000 feet, the air is coming out of the northeast. You can see the airflow. That air is super cold and dry. But if you go up to 5, 6, 7,000 feet in the atmosphere, the wind's going to be coming in from this direction, and it's going to be like 40 degrees. So what's happening is as the snowflakes are falling, they're melting in that warm layer, and they're either refreezing to a sleet pellet, or they're making it to the ground as liquid. But because the air temperature is below freezing, that liquid then freezes into ice on trees and everything else. So that's why you're seeing, those temperatures go down even as the ice moves into the region. So as we go through time, you will see that the ice, the sleet and stuff starts to be more intense, even as the temperature drops at the ground. So this is all sleet and freezing rain. Now, someone asked earlier, the model's showing rain. Here's the thing. This is why models aren't the end all be all, okay? The computer is really confused here, right? It's saying, I'm going to make this green so it looks like rain, but that's not rain. It's 29 degrees in Waysboro. It's 28 in Monroe. It's 29 in Lancaster. It's 31 in Sherall and 30 in Rockingham. So this is not rain. This is freezing rain. Basically, that cold layer is so shallow that the model can't tell that it's freezing rain all the way to the surface. So it really shows you why you have to have interpretation of this, because it's like a GPS. If it tells you to go left and there's a brick wall there, you don't turn left because there's a brick wall there. You look out the window and go, I can't turn left, okay? So sometimes you got to not listen to computers. We still humans have a very big part of what we're doing here. So the upper low moves over, and you see some snow try to move in on the backside. That northwest wind eventually brings snow back to the mountains, and they could be a prolonged, what we call northwest flow event for the western facing slopes. That could actually tally up to more snow in some of those areas than we see with the first part of the system. And notice the temperatures the whole time here. I'm going through till 1 o'clock Monday. This is probably the first time we see temperatures start to go down or back above freezing. I'm going to back this up to go hour by hour. So 8 a.m., it's still below freezing. 9 a.m., it's still below freezing. And it looks like 10 or 11 Monday morning would be the time frame that we see it go back above freezing. Any thunderstorm or thunder sleet, possible. Very dynamic system, especially as the upper low comes over. Would not be surprised to see a little thunder sleet, but that's going to be kind of a nowcasting thing to watch. So I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I got to get ready to do the 11 o'clock show. Again, if you missed anything here, you're coming in late. You watch this on YouTube, you watch it on our app, Facebook. Make sure you go to our Weather IQ page. That'll be the best place to go to rewatch these, or my Facebook page. I recommend following all those, but we really want you to subscribe to our Weather IQ page, because we put some great content there, and that would be a great place to go get more information. So I'm going to leave you guys for now. I have got to go do some work. I will get ready for the 11 o'clock news. If you can't watch us online or on the air, you can watch us on the app, or you can grab the WCNC Charlotte app and actually watch us there as well. So, oh man, the Hornets lost tonight. See, bummer, man. They lost to a horrible Orlando Magic team. So sorry if I'm spoiling that too. Yeah, that was a bad loss. I think the Magic were like 7-35. That's a horrible loss. Anyways, have a great night, everybody. I'll see you tonight at 11.